Hi, folks. Cliff from Talking Pondo here. I want to give you a quick warning about the upcoming episode. We do talk about the movie in quite a bit of detail, plot points, and so on, so there will be spoilers. And just fair warning, there is some adult language every now and then, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. Also, you can watch our latest film trilogy, Writing Frenzy, Revenge of Zoe, and The Love Song of William H. Shaw. Those are available on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Fossum, Hoopla, and Zumo. So get out there and give them a watch. I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening. I guess.
Warlock, it's complicated. That should have been the
That's fucking awesome.
Whether they intended it or not, they put a lot of interesting subtext in there that you can
analyze.
And
Warlock, it's complicated.
We like to pick a lot of these, buddy movies. Everything from In Bruges to Master and Commander. I mean, it goes on down the line. Rush Hour, the two guys that are,
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
It's a thematic thing. Welcome to Season 3 of Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Henry Fonda learns papier-mâché will not be seen this week, so we may bring you the following in justice.
These are great. I'm digging this right from a cold opening into a goofy theme and then right into these strange announcements. I'm quite enjoying it.
Of all these shows that we keep preempting every week. And you'll never get to see them, unfortunately. But you said earlier that you would watch a show.
Yeah. I would totally watch a show with if Henry Fonda learning how to paper mache. I would totally do that. It's like, and I think he would make it interesting because he's a good actor. It's like I've said, I'd watch Denzel paint a house for 2 hours because
read the phone book.
He'd make it compelling. Yeah, you get to the corner and just be like, oh my god, did you see what he did with the corner? It was fucking. I could breathe for 2 minutes.
Well, actually, that show would be the follow-up spin-off of Warlock, where he does go off and become a potter like Billy Shaw and learns paper mache and all that.
He makes a giant Anthony Quinn paper mache, but this time he doesn't limp.
Yeah, it allows him to escape this time when we mix the two movies, which wouldn't be too hard to do. They both have mob mentality moments.
They do, definitely. Yeah.
What are today's movies and who are we? Well, this is Talking Pondo. I'm Marty as usual, and we got Cliff here.
Hello.
And we're talking movies. We pick two movies, sometimes seemingly at random, but always for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give them to each other to watch, and we talk about them. And
I want to be very clear right from the beginning. You are watching Warlock from 1959 for one reason and one reason only. I have one. You have one, and I wonder if you caught it while you watched the movie.
Well, we'll see as we go through it.
There is specifically one scene in this movie and one moment in this movie that I particularly wanted you to see and ask you about. The fact that it has DeForest Kelley in it is just a bonus.
Okay.
And then there's After Hours from 1985, which is
our first Martin Scorsese, because we always pick weird movies first.
Yeah. This is definitely Marty on coke.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about the After Hours before we start is this is what happens when you're still making psychedelic movies and it's the mid 80s. It's like acid and coke. It's very like but I guess it adds to the tension. But anyway, what movie do you want to cover first?
I don't have a preference. You got a preference?
Let's go backwards this time. Let's do After Hours first.
Okay, cool.
And we can work towards the surprise of what was I was supposed to notice in Warlock. So let me see. What was what is After Hours? I don't have anything clever to say. I already said it with the psychedelic thing. So
After Hours, 1985, rated R, hour and 37 minutes. Here's your log line. Ordinary word processor Paul Hackett experiences the worst night of his life after he agrees to visit Marcy, a Soho resident that he met that evening at a coffee shop. That's his first mistake, is going down to Soho. Just kidding. Director is Martin Scorsese. Writer is Joseph Minion. Stars Griffin Dunn, Rosanna Arquette, and just a disgustingly huge host of excellent actors in this movie.
Yeah. We
Your
watched it for
storyline.
the Mad Monster tie-in, but unfortunately Griffin Dunn had to cancel. Maybe we'll catch him next year, but we still watched the movie anyway. And the storyline is...
So your storyline is a meek word processor in New York impulsively travels downtown to Soho for a date with an attractive but apparently disturbed young woman and finds himself trapped in a nightmarishly surreal vortex of improbable coincidences and farcical circumstances. What is the very worst night you ever had is the tagline.
Well, I will say both movies today were very well paced. This one comes in at like 90 minutes, and the other one's like a slightly over 2 hours. And at times, they both have a little bit of kind of drag to them, but then they suddenly snap, and then you're like, oh shit, another 20 minutes passed.
Yeah,
wow.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. After Hours at an hour 37 is just about right. My first thing is the first piece of trivia I read was that apparently he couldn't come up with an ending for it. And he asked several directors to watch it to give him ideas for an ending because he just couldn't come up with anything. Which
they seem to tie it together, yeah.
Like just wrap him up in paper mache and this driving off with him at the end is and him showing back up at work at the end is kind of a goofy ending.
Yeah, he's there just in time to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I guess it does tie into the elements that were introduced earlier on that he's going to be escaping inside of. It's funny that Cheech and Chong don't think that he weighs a lot fucking more.
Right.
Because there's a guy in there this time, but it's kind of that silly logic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This was the last project that Cheech and Chong did together before their split.
Okay.
After the movie was over, they went their separate ways, and that was it.
Things Are Tough All Over is right around that time, isn't there?
Well, they had done Get Out of My Room.
Corsican Brothers.
Yeah, and Corsican Brothers and all that, and then it led up to the Here Comes Born in East L.A. split, where it's Cheech with no Chong. You know.
Well, Cheech wanted to do real movies and real television. He didn't want to do any more weed type related shit.
Yeah, he needed to go do Nash Bridges and Golden Palace, and you know what? They both did very well for themselves on their own too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Chong had that '70s show. And...
Chong was on that '70s show for a long time. Yeah, he was. So starting this movie, go ahead.
Apparently the story was we needed two guys like Cheech and Chong. They said, "Why don't we just get Cheech and Chong?" So there you go. Like we did Yellowbeard earlier this season, and now here's another one of their stranger latter-day films. So.
Yeah, it's weird to see them sort of playing those roles, but outside of them, in that context, it's strange. But the credits of this movie in the beginning, man, those credits feel like they're on coke. They're just whipping by, just wham, wham. Like, damn, this is the fastest friggin' credits I think. I mean, he could have easily just slowed the credits down and added another minute to the movie if he wanted to. Like those credits were flying by
from the get-go. And this is one of the things I noticed this time that I hadn't noticed before. We got to watch a Criterion high-def copy this time, which I'd never seen the movie like that before. And it made me look up who is the director of photography, because I was impressed that, and of course it's a Martin Scorsese movie where this is happening, where they're using the camera to tell the story. Like a lot of movies, there'd be a one-sided phone conversation, a person on the phone, static shot. Interesting enough from what the material is, but in this movie, the camera is always an interesting angle. It's always kind of moving and building the tension, like say on that phone call. It makes you feel more of what's going on in the scene, like somebody playing a scene on their face without talking. And you just don't see the camera participating in the storytelling as much in movies. I mean, you see it. There's some great directors that still do it, but watching a Martin Scorsese movie again, you go, see, that's more of the language of cinema, right? It made me look up this DP, who is this German DP named Michael Bauhaus, I guess is how you say his name.
Michael Bauhaus.
But I'll just do a few of some of the things he did. He did a lot of music videos, worked with Prince quite a bit. And after After Hours, which is like the first breakthrough, he worked with Martin Scorsese a lot. Like he shot Color of Money,
Mm,
and
I like that film
then
quite a bit.
yeah, he did Broadcast News. He did Last Temptation of Christ, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Working Girl, Fabulous
Dirty
Baker
Rotten Scoundrels.
Boys. I mean, then Goodfellas. So he's
Oh, Fabulous
responsible for
Baker
the
Boys,
big
nice.
opening shot of Goodfellas that everybody raves about. You know, the walking through, and then some of these other. I mean, what about Bob? Bram Stoker's Dracula. Quiz show. Oh, the highly depressing Sleepers. Get Off My Plane, Air Force One. Wild Wild West of all
Get
things.
off my plane. I forgot about that.
Gangs of New York. Something's Got to Give. And then I think his last big thing was The Departed, because he's no longer with us. But boy, he had a good run there. And I guess
Yeah,
since he
sounds
comes
like
from
it.
the world of music videos, it makes sense that it's more about that, language of the film. But I thought it was very kind of interesting how even early on, where he's making those first phone calls to Marcy, and we don't even know her name yet. She's just Rosanna Arquette's character. And it just felt, you could feel the tension building just from the camera moving around the room, the way it's lit. It's very deliberate, it felt. He was good on coke. He knew he could. It made him more hyper.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about. I
It's not a
think
perfect movie, but it's interesting.
I think it's. I mean, I like this. I like the way the film looks. I think that the director of photography is definitely a good DOP. Obviously, from his work, you can tell he's a good DOP, cinematographer, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's. I wouldn't say deliberate, but I would say he shoots in a style, and I feel like if you he figures out how to do this, and maybe this is the movie where he does it, where he's like he's all coked out and he's making this movie. And then finally, years later, when he goes to make Goodfellas, he's like, I got to do this coke scene where the character is really coked up and he's paranoid and they're hiding coke and they're dealing coke and they got the helicopters flying around. And he kind of does this suddenly in Goodfellas. It feels like After Hours during those parts, like where the cops are after him and they're selling the coke and all that shit. It feels very much like After Hours, where it's just crashing into everything and everything's moving and it's frenetic and fast and boom, boom, bam, bam, bam. Things just keep coming at you. That's why he's such a fucking great filmmaker. It's like he seems to learn from every film that he makes, and he goes, "All right, got that tool. I'll put that in the toolbox, and then now judiciously I can pull it out later when I need to. Right? I don't have to do a whole movie of it. I'll just do 15 minutes, shit like that. It's like that oneer at the end. He does that oneer at the end, and you're like, well, there's the restaurant oneer right there. Like he's practicing that shit early on.
Yeah,
you can see it. And there's the Wolf of Wall Street oneer, the whole thing. Right. It's right there. It's right there. So I love how the gates in the beginning close behind him as he's leaving, these big gold, beautiful gates. And you're like, oh, dude, it's like you've left heaven and gone into the real world. You are fucked. They're going to tear you up, That's funny. And Tropic of Cancer, the book he's reading, that was almost a movie. And there's like a whole legend about that. Like they went down to film it and people almost died getting it made, and supposedly there's some copies of it out there, but nobody admits to having one. That type of shit. I don't know. I noticed that he had to the floating in the air. There's that what is it? There's a keys coming down. They're floating in the air, and I remember laughing because we made a comment in Priscilla where the camera follows that ribbon kind of perfectly, through the air. And I was like, Marty had to cut. He had to cut mid sequence to make it work. I was like, oh, that's you know what I mean? It's weird. Watching the films, you start noticing stuff like that.
I remember what I was going to say. It's like the end of The Fablemans where he tells him, it's fucking boring, rising down here, they're rising up here. This movie follows that throughout. It's never boring. It's always, even in a dull scene, it's trying to find, I guess that's why Scorsese's so good. He's trying to find the most interesting part of even the slow parts.
Yeah. This is the same year for Fiorentino as Vision Quest.
Which we still
So
haven't
she's, yeah, which we
gotten
still haven't gotten to. But she's got long hair in Vision Quest, so I wonder if it's a wig. Because I think
to.
most of the time she's usually short haired. So I wonder if she had a wig in Vision Quest.
Or
But
yeah, was
either
maybe
that or,
shot first, or who
yeah,
knows?
exactly. She had it long, shot that movie first, and then came and shot it with the short hair, cut it off. I don't know. But
1985. It's such a weird wasteland in a way. When I look back, it's that black hole of the 80s. It's no longer the early 80s, but it's not the late 80s. But like I was mentioning earlier, 85 to '05 feel a lot different, but 25 to '05 don't feel as different to me. Maybe it's because I'm old now. I don't know, but it seems like the decades were more defined back in the 20th century.
I think that, and I also think it's because of the way technology was moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go from the 50s and 60s where you had color and black and white movies still kind of side by side, and then colors dipped, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's now or black and white dips out. Now it's color, then it's Technicolor, then it's 70 millimeter, and now we're into this 70s, and it's Blockbuster Pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and now there's cable. Right now there are VCRs, now there's DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these easily definable decades of things coming out.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll go into that
and
more in our next movie because that made me look back a little bit on the
mm,
end of the Old West time period. So,
mhm, mhm. But back to this movie, I like how it kind of drifts. I like how it
Mhm.
takes its moments. Like it doesn't.
It's
It,
trippy.
it's almost art. Like he's trying
Hmm.
to make more of an artistic kind of movie than he is trying to make a movie that tells a story or gets from point A to point B.
Hmm.
Um, why the fuck you would answer somebody else's phone without being told to? I would never do that in somebody's house.
Series
Just
of
pick up
bad
the phone.
decisions.
That's a terrible. And he just makes one after the other.
Hmm. And he's like, "Why?" And it's like, "Well, there is no reason. Sometimes you're fucked for a bit." I think
Well,
his worst decision was when he got the bad or the fake weed, and then he
uh,
decided to leave. Like
yeah.
that was
Well,
the last straw. If you had just
he got
stayed there, maybe it would have been okay.
he got mad and called her out, and pissed
Yeah.
her off and upset her, and I mean, but this guy's been in this apartment for a half an hour and has already seen four bare breasts and two people fucking. Where is he? Where the hell is this guy?
Hmm.
It's this, it's a, oh, we get the F word, the F word. Rosanna Arquette uses that naughty word. Um, this and I'll take the shot on this because again I did it with yeah. I don't think Rosanna's a very good actress. I think that she's a good face, or at least she wasn't back then.
Yeah, I was going
Her
to say
acting
this is
is
very early part
yeah.
too.
Her
So.
choices are kind of weird and not very organic, and I feel like she really struggles with being the strange girl, the kind of that weird girl
Hmm.
that they're looking for, that
Right.
she's trying to play. It's just not 100% there. Um,
I
like
always forget how quickly she's out of the movie.
same. But what a great way to throw cold water on a mood by just talking about when you were raped and then going like, oh, to tell you the truth, I slept through most of it. Where he's like, what the fuck?
Well, this is a comedy.
What?
It's a strange comedy, but it is like the first red flag is he's telling more. He's trying to engage a conversation about the book, and then she's immediately like, "What's wrong with that waiter?" And it's like, "Oh,
Right.
he's nuts.
She's
Do
she's
not
fucking nuts.
get
Yeah.
involved here." So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
but the waiter was acting bizarre. So,
she talks about that dude that used to come and scream "Surrender, Dorothy."
right.
It's
Always
just
comes
like,
back to the Wizard of Oz for some
what
reason.
the fuck? Here's the other thing about this movie. I think kids nowadays, like 18, 19, might struggle with this movie it's because they're going, well, how come he can't get back on the subway? What do you mean he needs $1.50? Can't he just, look, there's no cell phones, there's no
Oh yeah,
Venmo
that tech
apps.
didn't exist then.
And this is even before credit cards. People weren't carrying a lot of credit cards. 85
Hmm.
was just barely, like, Visa, MasterCard, all that shit had just come out probably
Yeah.
10 years before, American Express. So people didn't carry a wallet full of cards. You just put some cash in your pocket and you ran out the door.
Hmm.
Um, why he would only carry $20 is beyond me, but I guess $20 in 85 was enough.
Yeah, the $20 flying out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Which somehow ends up on the paper mache guy. Which was the only thing I ever paid for, and then somebody else stole it.
it's so the stuff with Arquette for me is some of the weaker stuff, because it's like
it's just the setup, kind of. Yeah.
Watching this weird kind of like hot then cold fickle thing that she's doing with him, and he kisses her, she cries, and the next thing you know, she comes back with the candle with the biggest fucking flame I've ever seen on a candle ever. And then she's all over him, but now he isn't into it. So it's like, I don't know. But I don't know. Part of me is like, yeah, just get up and leave. Like, just go home at this point. Like, it didn't work out for you. But then, of course,
he's trying to do.
That's what he keeps trying to do. And suddenly he's at the bar, and there's Terry Garr fucking writing him notes, basically begging for help. And this movie's just continues to get weirder and weirder as you watch it. And who the fuck? What bartender's just like, yeah, go up to my apartment and let yourself in and do this or whatever. Check my alarm. What?
And he overflows the toilet, and we never follow up on that.
Yeah, nothing. We don't know if it just kept running, or as the bartender says, he went back and checked the place, but he didn't say a damn word about it. So I don't know.
Every time I watch this, every couple of years, I get a completely different read from it. Like, sometimes I think it's really funny. Sometimes I'm like, this is just fucking bizarre. And it's always been this relationship with this movie. But I did appreciate seeing it HD finally. It added more to it,
It's a good looking movie for sure.
Vibe. Yeah. It's Mohawk Night. I can't. That's why. Well, you let him in. Yeah. He's getting his head shaved like Pondo or something.
Well, and Griffin Dunn's the only normal dude in this flick, and he ain't even that normal.
I love the Bronson Pinchot cameo in the beginning. What is he talking about? I want to do the thing where like the artist can publish, but you could tell it's that I don't really have an idea. I just want to.
Yeah, I'm a naive ideologue type of person. Yeah,
a fun way to start it.
It's a hell of a cast. I mean, Griffin Dunn, Rosanna Arquette, Verna Bloom, Tommy Chong, Linda Fiorentino, Terry Garr, John Hurd, Cheech Martin, Catherine O'Hara, Dick Miller, Will Patton, Bronson Pinchot. It's fucking a great cast, and they do a great job with the material. They really dig into it and try to make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I could swear to God that the couple that he sees having sex in the beginning, and then she ends up shooting him.
Mm-hmm.
I could swear that's Danny Aiello.
Yeah, it would be uncredited, right?
The biggest laugh I got was when Terry Garr meets him outside. She's like, I quit my job. And he's like, lady, what do you want from me? She's like, well, just come on back to my apartment and blah, 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 get out of the rain. And then we cut to her apartment, and she's putting on Last Train to Clarksville of all fucking things. And I just started laughing because I was just like, holy shit. What, like, that's probably the best music choice for that scene, for that moment. Because it's just such an odd choice. The Monkees? Really? Not the Beatles, who were as popular in 65. Mm-hmm. The Monkees.
The Monkees. It's funny because the very next year, the Monkees would have a resurgence. Yeah, they were my first concert. It was Weird Al with the Monkees.
Oh, that's right. That was the This Is Now song. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. And he was like a year ahead of himself on that because she was Miss Beehive 1965. See, that's what I was talking about, how the decades felt 65 to 85 feel like a big distance. But 85 to 05, well, that feels like a big one too. But 05 to 25, it's like, yeah, we got the smartphone.
Yeah.
We're doing the Zoom calls, but culture itself feels like
it hasn't really changed a whole bunch. Yeah.
I don't know. Right in. Give us examples.
I think right now we're under a major culture shift too, I would say.
That's true.
Like the Scorsese cameo in the Punk Club.
Oh, yeah. He's running the lights.
Catherine O'Hara's line, what does a guy have to do to get his face pummeled, is pretty hilarious. What does a guy have to do to get his face pummeled? He's like, get me out of here. I think some of it's a little convenient at times. because they're like, well, what do we do to keep this going? How do we keep ratcheting it
Yeah.
up? And because eventually he's got a mob of people chasing him, wanting to kill him.
Yeah.
And it's just and then of course he runs downstairs to that woman who paper maches him up, and what's her plan? Just to keep him like that forever? I don't.
Well, it makes sense that they came up with that ending after.
Mm-hmm. We'll just have Cheech and Chong steal him, and we'll drive off, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll have some bad over cranking as he turns the corner, and
Yeah,
then
your favorite.
I was just like, oh, no, not good, not good. Don't do that.
It reminded me,
And,
first time I saw this movie was on cable,
mm-hmm,
and it was new on cable, which means it must have been probably 86.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it was on Easter weekend, because I remember coloring eggs while watching this movie. I just now remembered
weird
that.
memory.
Mm-hmm. This movie didn't make any sense to me when I was like 12, I don't think so.
Well, people really love.
Yeah.
People really love it. I understand why. I mean, it's the last 15 minutes of the movie is the part that I really don't dig. It brings in this 80s synth score.
Oh yeah, I was going to say there's parts of it. It's so
like
80s,
that.
it feels like it's dead.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching an exhumed corpse. Some of that synth score, but a lot of Scorsese to me feels like it's this dead black hole. That's why I don't dig like Raging Bull and stuff. It's good, but it's just like it's too much for me. But he's a 70s filmmaker, so of course he's going to have that touch of nihilism like we like to talk about. But for me personally, that's what I always get from most of Scorsese's work, is this utter black hole in it that I feel like he's intending to do. He's like, because he likes to show, the darkness. But that synth, I'm glad you pointed out that synth, because boy, that's trapped in amber.
Yeah, I didn't
That
like
was the
that at all.
creepiest part of the movie, was the synth score.
And then I definitely felt that whole ending is a little Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, how'd they clear out the club so fast?
Yeah, well, and just to have suddenly Cheech and Chong steal him, and then he accidentally falls out and now he's free, and I do like him returning to work at the end. I think that's cool. I just didn't like kind of the way he achieved it.
They probably found the best possible ending for what they had.
I imagine, yeah. I don't have a better one. So, and I do really love that oneer over the credits, like as the computer says, hey, "Good morning, Paul," and that camera pulls back and begins to move. I really enjoy that. And Scorsese really moves the camera, like when he moves it and he decides to move it, it moves like almost like nobody else. Really, it's pretty impressive.
And you're left feeling like you just watched a Clockwork Orange or something almost.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, Notkin and the orchestral score. But do you have anything else to say about it? Because I have one more thing to jump into.
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's talk about David Geffen for a minute. We haven't done any Geffen pictures yet. And boy, did those movies and his business in general start to change pop culture a bit. Any time you saw that Geffen Pictures logo in the 80s on a movie, it was always something a little quirky or weird, wasn't it? Like this, or Little Shop of Horrors, and not even to mention when he goes to the music industry.
Is this Geffen?
This is a Geffen film. Yeah, it's Warner Brothers, but it's also Geffen Pictures. So, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting point, because people don't talk about him a lot. I don't hear anyway, as far as movies go, and he did do a significant a bit for a period there.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't do much in the 80s either. They released a crapload in the 90s, or a little more in the 90s, but they did Personal Best.
Oh, wow.
Risky Business, Lost in America, After Hours, Little Shop of Horrors, and Beetlejuice.
See, it's always something a little alternative, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And we have David Geffen to thank for a lot of alternative culture and film and music, for helping give people an opportunity to get into the business. One might say he's a government plant.
$4.5 million for a $10 million gross is not too bad. It's nice and modest, well weighed.
So what do you give this one?
I thought about it. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I think it's well made. It's enjoyable. I'm not a huge fan of its ending. There are parts of it that I don't super enjoy, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, I kind of dig what it's doing.
Yeah.
I feel like it pulls it off. These kind of movies where these sort of mousetrap movies are sort of hard to pull off without showing
Mm-hmm.
the mousetrap, and this one does it really pretty smoothly
Yeah.
for the most part. Especially at that beginning, when he gets to the subway and the guy's like, "Sorry, it changed at $1.50. Changed at midnight."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Here's," and they have this huge. The guy's just like, "Fuck you, no." It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh boy, you're gonna have a tough night, man. This is gonna be
Like
bad.
falling down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, I appreciate Scorsese, but he's never been one of my favorite filmmakers just because I always feel so fucking dead inside after watching his movies a lot of the time. But this one's
Wow.
probably one of my favorite of his because it's a little more offbeat and strange. Even though I still give it 3.5, I do dig it out every few years, and it always puts a smile on my face because it's just so strange. But I appreciated it even more this time, where it was like my earlier statement. This is what happens when you're still making psychedelic movies and it's the mid 80s and everybody else has moved on and you're on the coke too, but you're still being trippy like it's the 70s. Like those moments where it drifts, you said, and then it snaps back
Mm-hmm.
in. Well,
Yeah.
that's very psychedelic when a film does that, I think. So, yeah, interesting movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's not one of the Scorsese's that gets brought up a lot, and maybe in the months to
No, but
come we'll get some more Scorsese for you.
I think if you're interested in seeing in his filmography, it's an important one of his to watch because he doesn't make a lot of them like this.
Yeah, not a lot of comedy. Yeah.
Not a lot of comedy and not a lot of good comedy. It's like, and not just that, but like, I mean, the dude tends to focus on certain kind of milieus, right? Like he likes to tell stories about the mob, or he likes to tell stories about largesse or things like that. And he doesn't really do, like, he doesn't do a lot of Alice Don't Live Here Anymore or
That's
After
true.
Hours, those types of
Mm-hmm.
things. So, no, he's doing The Irishman and The Departed and these types of things. You know what I mean? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not shitting on those. I just mean he just doesn't do these types. So if you really want to get a grasp of his filmography, you should probably check those out.
Mm-hmm. So,
It,
so
it would be like missing Last Temptation of Christ, but having
oh
seen
yeah.
Goodfellas. You're like,
So to loosely connect these two, so after watching Warlock, one of my main takeaways, Warlock 1959, not with Julian
that's
Sands.
Julian
We'll get to
Sands.
that one
Sorry.
next week. Uh, is so Robert De Niro is basically just doing Anthony Quinn shtick. That's what I've led to believe, because I'm looking at Anthony Quinn going, he's just doing the but I'm like, it's fucking De Niro is Anthony Quinn's school of acting. Well, I mean, if you're gonna impersonate somebody, right, that's a good one to
It's a good one to
leaned
impersonate.
into a little bit there. But
Yeah.
I did notice that. But our second movie today is Warlock 1959, a movie I had never even heard of. Those are always fun. But before we get into a lot of it, I want to ask what your opinion is. When did the Old West end?
The Old West ended. Well, I mean, I think you'll have different scholars argue it. But,
There's an approximate date of what, the 1915, 1920?
Yeah. Yes. I think it was dying by the 1890s and properly died 1910, 1915, right around the time that basically like a lot of these cowboys started writing into film studios, like Tom
movies
Mix
happened in Old
these
West.
guys, and movies started. Yeah, and the Old West was suddenly. It wasn't really the Old West. It was stories from 40 years ago.
Wow.
But it was yeah.
Makes me put the 20th century into perspective. The world we knew was the second Old West.
And the Old West lasted for a long time, 60, 70 years. I mean, from before the Civil War and after.
Some people's entire life was the Old West. And this movie sent me down that rabbit hole. And it's like, so what year was Warlock roughly set in? It's towards the end, right, where progress.
I'm going to say progress is happening. It's definitely after the Civil War.
We're running out of towns.
I'm going to say 1870, 1880s,
okay,
somewhere in there.
Still got a little bit to go.
Right, I would say 1880s to 1890s. Actually, thinking about it, probably in there.
And it got me real intrigued about it because I live in Tucson and you live in Oklahoma, so we are basically living in what was even 100 years ago.
Sure,
still the Old West. It's interesting anyways, I think, to look back at some of this stuff and be like, okay, so I found out the last stagecoach robbery happened in 1916. World War One began 2 years prior. So the Old West and World War One are happening simultaneously, barely. If they should teach it like that in school, it makes it more interesting. To be like, and then what happened 9 years after the last stagecoach robbery? The television was invented. What the fuck? It's so weird to think how quick. Talk about years going fast and shit. And once that tech hit, it just took off, like you were also mentioning. People like to get all conspiracy minded about it's alien technology that we figured out backwards. And it's like, look backwards in time 100 years. Once people figured things out, other people figured other things out, and it started steamrolling. And the next thing you know, we have this smartphone in our hands. Where only 100 years ago, the TV was being created. This year, the television is 100 years old. That is just insane to me, these kind of, and so Warlock is responsible for a little history lesson for me this week, which was kind of fun after I finished watching it. To
give you an idea,
I
mean, the electron was discovered in 1897.
Yeah, see,
right? And now the electron
Doc
powers
Brown,
everything.
right?
Yeah, it powers everything. So, Warlock is from 1959. It is approved. It has no rating. It's 2 hours long. Here's your log line. A famous gunman becomes the marshal of Warlock to end a gang's rampages, but is met with some opposition by a former gang member turned deputy sheriff who wants to follow only legal methods. And then your storyline.
My Way or the Highway. This movie is Roadhouse for like the first 20 minutes, which is pretty funny.
In the small frontier mining town of Warlock, rancher Abe McEwen's gang of cowboy cutthroats terrorized the peaceful community, humiliating the town's legitimate deputy sheriff and running him out of town. Helpless and in need of protection, the townsfolk hire the renowned town tamer Clay Blaisdell as unofficial marshal to bring law and order to the town. Clay arrives with his good friend and backup Tom Morgan. The two men stand up to the ranch gang and quiet the town. Johnny Gannon, a foreigner member of the ranch gang, is bothered by the gang's actions, reforms, and takes on the deputy sheriff job while his brother remains part of the gang. The addition of the official lawman to the mix further complicates matters, leading to an inevitable clash of the cowboys, the townfolks, the gunslingers, and the law.
It made me realize Class of 1984 is like a modern Western. And the kids at the school that are out of control are the fucking terrible outlaws, and I got to take the law in my own hand, take them out, It was like, oh, maybe that's what the appeal is of that. It's like a Western grafted onto urban. This movie is so out there in many ways, but
it's not your common Western.
No,
it isn't. It isn't.
The name, much like Sorcerer, both of these movies flopped, and I think it's because the name is off-putting. You go, Warlock, is that going to be about mazes?
It doesn't
and
make any sense for sure. Yeah.
But no, it's the name of the town.
It's
just
the name
like
of the town.
Sorcerer, it's the name of one of the tribes.
But if you're going to name the movie after the town, then call the town something different. You could call it Coopersville. You could have called it, Babylon. You could have called it whatever you wanted to call it. You could have called it Egypt. You could have called it Cairo, for fuck's sake, whatever.
What would we call this movie if not Warlock? Master and Commander of the original adventures, or
just pick a different town name.
Well, I mean, like if you just went non-town name, like if it was just a title,
Shit, I don't know.
I couldn't come up with one better either. So Warlock,
12 angry men. I don't know.
Well, that's fitting. There's a lot of angry people in this movie. I mean, at first it starts, and I'm like, oh God, here we go again with the fake storefronts. And there's so many Westerns that it was a reason as a kid I was always off put by them because they feel so samey in many respects. But once they start going into the buildings in this movie, it's a little more engaging, a little more interesting. The camera movements and stuff, especially for the time. It didn't have the greatest sound. Like I know in older movies, you like to pick on some of the sound quality if it's not as good. And I thought this one had a little squelchy, but it was okay. I didn't mind
it. It was okay.
The technical limitations, right? Like even the fake lightning at the end. But it was 1959. This is what.
Yes, the fake lightning was a little rough.
It's just what it is, though. I don't discredit it for that.
It looked like they were filming this in something like a old Tucson type of place.
Yeah, it was shot in Utah. I did look it up.
Utah, yeah.
Was the reason he had me watch this because it was shot here? No, that wasn't the reason.
shot in White's Ranch in Utah. It I one of the things I liked about it is framing. I really like how they frame a lot of people in the film. I like
I'm
that it's a
glad I
very
didn't
sharp.
see it full frame. That would have sucked full frame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would have sucked full frame.
Did you
I
see
mean, I
it
think
full frame back in the day, or?
no, I think this the first time I saw this was still widescreen.
Oh, okay. So
Um,
this isn't a childhood favorite or anything.
and this is in CinemaScope. So Jesus, putting this into full frame. Ugh. Um,
And you know they did for TV back in the day.
right. So right away we get DeForest Kelly as the bad guy, DeForest Kelly is the bad guy. That's Bones McCoy, man,
Yeah,
and it's fun.
like
It's fun to watch him as a bad guy. He really relishes that shit.
Mhm.
He really digs into it.
And it's a much better movie than White Comanche, where William Shatner's the bad guy and the good
Right.
guy in a dual role that will surprise you. Another
White
fun.
Comanche.
We'll
I like
probably
the
not
two
be
bullet.
bringing that one to the show.
I like the two bullets in the water tank as the barber falls dead. And you see the water pulling out of the water tank, and
That's always like it's class of '84. They don't care. They're killing everybody.
when Fonda and Quinn pull up and stop, and they're looking down on the town, that matte painting, like it sells.
Like Mos Eisley Spaceport.
You can tell it's a matte painting, but they do the smart thing that Lucas did in special edition, where they added some fucking some wagons going through, and you could see some smoke on the ridge and stuff. So it looked like the town had a little bit of movement. It wasn't just a static matte painting, which I think kind of sold. And it was fun to see, like, oh, 59, and they're still trying little, trying all the special effects they can get their hands on to make it to sell to the audience.
And you think it's going to be a two-man Seventh Samurai for a while, but then they mix it up a little more. There's still the elements of gang warfare of you killed them, so I got to kill you, Ghost Dog, and all, but they mix it up a bit.
I like the movie because it has layers. Everyone has an angle. Everyone's got motives more than just what they're doing. Almost everybody's trying to get over on somebody or work an angle. The woman who comes in, who's just there to basically see Blaisdell shot dead. She doesn't give a shit who does it, and the fact that Quinn's character is in love with her and has this massive painting of her in his room, right? Remember when she shows up and he covers it, he closes the drapes and shit, he's obsessed with her. Yeah. But she won't have him because he's a cripple. It's
she has the only thing she doesn't. Yeah.
The only thing I found kind of boring, or at least I was the Richard Widmark character. I felt like he didn't do a lot. He's just, standing around for a bit going, nah, you're going to back shoot him? Well, fuck you. I'm now the deputy,
There's a lot of trope stuff in there too,
I like how they set up that fake wall. Like when there's a shot of, I think they put it at the top of the stairs in the saloon. Like once Quinn and Fonda show up and they take the saloon over and they turn it into the French Palace, and start doing gambling in it and all this stuff. There's that camera shot at the top of the stairs, kind of looking down on the whole room. And they've got this fake wall built so that you can't see you can't see the doors, the entrance to the actual saloon. You got to walk around the partition to go into the saloon, right? Left or right. And I like that because it kind of sells the fact that I'm sure some of this is shot in a studio or at least shot in some controlled areas where, we don't have to see that stuff in the background. Let's put a partition in and a fake window and we're good to go.
But yeah, it's very smart. Well, I should say Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse is very this, but like in the beginning where it's like, okay, this is how we're going to do things here at this bar. And if you don't like it, and I was like, oh, this is totally fucking, at least in the beginning, it's Roadhouse for a small moment there.
Yeah, just for a bit. Yeah, especially when Quinn comes down. So first, Quinn plays I love watching Quinn in this movie because he plays the character like at some points he seems really afraid. And you're not sure who he's afraid for. Is he afraid for himself or Blaisdell? And then other parts, you're like, oh, this bum leg isn't really that bad. He's kind of faking it. Like when he goes out to shoot that dude in the stagecoach. He's able to get off that horse and make it up to the, into a hide in a bush and shoot that dude. He ain't that bad off, but when he comes out of the room and sees, McEwen and the men down there and he kind of freezes and he goes back into the room to tell Blaisdell like, hey, they're here, and they have that, well, maybe I should put on my gold handle guns. Oh, we know those aren't my work guns, that type of thing. Then he goes down and tells the dude with the shotgun, like, you put bullets into anybody who even tries to shoot this guy in the back. There's that whole, it's kind of got that whole Roadhouse feel. You know what I mean? It's got that whole, like the only thing missing is Jeff Healey and the band behind some chicken wire playing a song. I love the scene where Fonda's like, come here. And he just hits that dude over the head with his gun and knocks him out. It's so great. So with 1 hour left, my prediction was that Johnny Gannon would be the new sheriff, would kill Blaisdell and Quinn to clean up the town. That was my guess.
That would be your typical ending, but that's not what the story had in mind.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it didn't do that.
Yeah.
I definitely like the fact that it didn't do that. It did some unexpected things. And for 2 hours, it didn't seem 2 hours long. It really felt a little faster than that to me.
Its pacing's good.
Pacing's real good. Like you said, there's a couple of moments where you're like, come on, keep moving. And then it's off and running again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So me and apparently other people have thought of this as well, but I think there's you can call it intentional fallacy. I don't know. It was the 50s, but the people say there's a lot of gay coding in this film between the main two leads. They're always together. He's got his gold-plated guns. They're opening the French palace. They know a lot about interior decorating, and he gets really mad when he hooks up with that woman. Right?
I mean, they do.
And then it's like, I can't show up you. I got to go to this next county because he's, and there's nothing wrong with that.
They do show up.
Which is also why
they do show up with like a lot of art and a lot of tapestries and stuff. That's hilarious.
And so that's why I say it's the intentional fallacy. And maybe it's deeply hidden because it's the 50s, or maybe it's not there at all. But it is a funny kind of interesting thing to pick up on in the movie. And it adds like a different subtext to it as well. Where it's like, it's like, oh, he doesn't want to lose him. That's his everything, and he flips out over it. Mm-hmm. I can't stay here with you, blonde lady. I gotta go on.
I do think that Anthony Quinn basically says he loves him at some point.
Yeah, right.
Or she says that. I think maybe she accuses him of that.
So even if it's not a homosexual thing, there's still a strong bonding between the characters
absolutely.
That some people can read into as other things. But it's a movie, right? There's a lot going on.
I think you can, look, if you look for gay coding in any movie, you can,
this one was an easier one.
You could probably start pointing to it, I guess.
A little bit.
Anybody can see what they want in something. I don't know. I mean,
maybe that's why I do that well in the 50s,
I could kind of see a little bit of it with Quinn, maybe, but it surely was very buried. If it was there.
I did think that was like, oh.
There's that point where the second girl, the one that ends up dating Peter Fonda, comes where he's shooting his gun, he's practicing, and she just shows up, and they just cut to her standing there, and she's in a seafoam green fucking dress with no horse or anything behind. It's like, how did you get out here? And why are you wearing that? It's just so weird. It's such a weird scene. And that's the romance scene between her and him. And he ends up moving in with her, and she's making him chicken fried steak and all that shit. It's so weird. It was just a weird scene.
Yeah. She only made a handful of other movies, that actress. I know one of them was The Day Time Froze, which is on MST in season 12.
Okay.
And I think
Dolores Michaels, right?
Yeah, and I think Dorothy Malone, the other actress.
Dorothy Malone worked a lot. Yeah,
she was in something else that was on MST as well. I think, like Wizards of the Lost Kingdom. I think was one of them. The rabbit holes, but yeah, I definitely had heard of her before. But I was surprised.
Yeah, looks like she did.
She's only in a few things. So.
Looks like she did quite a few science fictions and some westerns.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in a TV series, Bus Stop, and Laramie, and a few other, Perry Mason. But anyway, the point being, it was a weird scene to see this, I don't know, it's like out of the middle of nowhere, here's this woman in this seafoam dress in the West, No horse, no wagon, no
Mhm.
nothing. She's just standing there. It's like, what the hell? This movie also has that weird. I've mentioned it before. That weird thing that older movies did, where they'd have that middle shot of the person talking, and then on an action beat, they would jump to the close up, and they do that with Quinn a couple of times, where it's like, whoa, okay, we don't. This is Wakanda now. We don't do that anymore. We don't do
Yeah,
that
I know
here.
what you mean.
Don't do that. Yeah. Um, this is the law's business, Marty, not yours.
Yeah, it is funny to see the regulators be the assholes, because you're thinking Young Guns the whole time because we're so 80s. Regulators, mount up. And it's like the regulators in this movie were assholes. So,
Mm-hmm. It's also wild in this movie how everybody just looks at each other in the eye and goes, fucking, I want to kill you. Like, everybody's just very honest about the fact that they want to kill each other. Nobody does. I mean, eventually it happens, but, it's just weird.
Yeah, and that McEwen gang, what is this, like all dudes, all pent up anger? God knows what's going on in that house.
You want to talk about suppressed homosexual. There you go. There's all that suppressed rage for being gay, maybe.
There's a little bit in there. The odds tell you that at least somebody in that batch.
Dear Diary, my brother is dead, but I'm the law and I have a new girlfriend. My old friends put a knife through my hand, but that's okay because I could still shoot. Got a shootout today. We'll talk to you after it's over. Later.
I never was really fast, but I can shoot.
So later, I think it's after Quinn dies, Fonda and Widmark have a scene and they're talking.
And I just want you to be the hero again.
Yeah, but Fonda's dressed like General Lee. Like, he's got a fucking full. It looks like he's dressed like a general from the South. He's got the button coat and the gloves and shit. It's like, what in the hell? So maybe they're trying to imply that he was a colonel. Oh, they did say he was a colonel at one point. So I guess he was a colonel for the South.
Yeah,
interesting.
You're all gonna end up hating me.
But it is a bit of a weird kind of grandstanding ending with that big indignant speech at the end.
Yeah, because it's like, wait a minute. But go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's it. It's just this weird sort of like, okay, really? You're going to have a big speech after, okay.
I mean, the big bad gets killed, right?
Yeah.
20 minutes of the movie left.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? And it's like, no, we have to unravel a few things just so we can have a few more dramatic points and draw it out. I'm like, he's going to have to unravel that story, but I guess you kind of did. But
Well, I mean, if they are gay, he's got to mourn the loss of his friend, burn him in a pyre, and then he's got to have a shootout with Richard Widmark, who killed his lover. So, if they are gay, there's a great line. Richard Widmark's got that woman that he's kind of connected with, and it's the night before he's going to go and face Fonda in the morning, right? And he knows he's not fast enough to kill him. And so he goes up to talk to her, and she's upset. She knows he's going to die, but at the same time, and he's kind of there to be like, hey, how about a little last night nookie or something. And she looks at him and says, what do you want? Your whole life in one night. And I thought that was a great line. What a way to not only diffuse the moment, but also to kind of sarcastically throw in like, let's say we did have sex. What's it mean? It's not a whole life. You know what I mean? You're going to be dead tomorrow. I thought it was really, really a great line.
It is a trip to see people who are like about 50 years older than me in a movie when they were young. It's such a time machine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like looking up all these people like, damn, Dorothy Malone only passed a few years ago.
Yeah.
She was around a long time, but some of these other people have been gone for ages.
Well, and I think Quinn did a few Westerns, but this is probably one of the more Westerns that I've enjoyed him in. I thought he did a really good job. He made some interesting choices as an actor. Did a lot of cool kind of stuff.
It's different. I'm used to him being.
It's very different.
Older.
In
movies.
It's very. It's very Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Right. Yeah.
It's very like I can see where Kilmer and others would have pulled from like, well, I don't want to play a normal Peter Fonda or a normal Steve McQueen or, Clint Eastwood. What do? You go look at people like Anthony Quinn who made, kind of other acting. Not that Quinn isn't a badass or whatever. He just made his own different choices with some of his characters. So I really respect. Because again, Fonda's always going to be, Henry Fonda. And then DeForest Kelley gets a character turn. Woohoo! Look at that.
All right. Mm-hmm. And 20 years pass, and On Golden Pond is made. It doesn't seem right, but it's true.
You probably didn't spot it. It's pretty buried and it's probably pretty vague.
Well, tell me the thing. We saved it to the end here, so then I might be like, it is the thing.
So when Blaisdell kills Billy, which is Johnny Gannon's brother, right? Richard Widmark, who's Johnny, holds him and he whispers, "Oh, Billy. Billy, 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 Billy. Billy, Billy, Billy." Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Ted Knight gets that from Caddyshack. I think that's the source of that. When he pulls out his putter, and he goes, "Billy, Billy, 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 Billy. Oh, Billy, I need you, Billy." I think that's where he gets that from.
It might be where Stand By Me gets it from, too. Oh, Billy, 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 Billy.
It's quite possible.
Hiding under the porch.
Yeah, I think it's quite possible. That's pretty close.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. But I just saw him do that, and I was like,
that
"Oh, shit."
It stand out at me like this.
I just flashed to Caddyshack immediately and was like, I wonder if that's where Ted Knight, because it would have been right around that time for Ted Knight, you know? So that's my weird, there you go, that's why you watched it. And it's probably the weirdest one I'll ever come up with.
Well, it'd be a pop culture reference that in the early 80s, they would still know, because that was only merely 20 years ago to them. It was their 2005 to us. So
there you go. That's why you had to watch it.
Wow.
And also because DeForest Kelley was in it. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, he really, I think I said it once already, but he really reveled in being a bad guy. Like you could tell he really, really enjoyed, even his walk was kind of this cocky, ridiculous fucking walk. It was great.
And it was happening so fast in the beginning. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, they ran that guy out of town. Now they need a new person to clean everything up. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps the most, so later critics referenced, I was just reading that, the homoerotic nature of the relationship and the film's entry in the Aurum Film Encyclopedia, which is a multi-volume reference work on cinema published in the UK by Aurum Press, described it as perhaps the most open depiction of homosexual love in the classic Western. Well, shit, that's not why I picked it, but what a crazy...
I'm like, it's thematic, like some of these other movies we've been watching. Yeah.
Anthony Quinn's obituary in the Daily Telegraph called Morgan a crippled homosexual somewhat nebulously in love with Henry Fonda. Mm-hmm. But I do dispute that in a way because, again, in the film, he's obviously in love with this woman who spurns him. Well, he's got her painting on the wall. He hides it from her. He obviously has
swing both ways.
Feelings. Yeah. I guess. But now we're talking bisexuals, and then we have the conversation about is that even a thing? Maybe you're just being greedy.
Complicated,
I guess.
Warlock, it's complicated. That should have been the tag.
That's fucking awesome.
Whether they intended it or not, they put a lot of interesting subtext in there that you can analyze.
Warlock, it's complicated.
We like to pick a lot of these, buddy movies, everything from In Bruges to Master and Commander. I mean, it goes on down the line. Rush Hour, the two guys that are,
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
It's a thematic thing. But it doesn't always mean that sex is going on.
True. What do you give it?
For God's sakes. I go back and forth on this one. Mm-hmm. It was good in a lot of parts, but it had a lot of
I hear you.
A lot of normal stuff too. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I like what it did, but it's not the greatest Western I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and I like the actors in it, but I've seen other movies that catch me a little bit more.
I guess I'll do a 3.5 again.
Mm-hmm. I'm going 3.
Yeah,
I'm going 3. I think it's rewatchable. I think it's a good movie. It does a few things I don't like. It's a little slow in places. I may watch it again though, just to watch the closet, the underground homosexual angle on it, just to see that again, just to see if I could pick it up and be like, oh yeah, there it is. Look at that, holy shit,
And I don't know if any of that's in the book, because
I'm a dummy. I don't really pay
the
attention to much of that stuff. You have to hit me over the head with that shit for me to recognize it half the time. But anyway, so yeah, okay, so 3.5. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
could have been worse, right?
Yeah, solid.
At least we're not at least I'm not giving you like, I think it was the beginning of the season where it was just a rash of shit, or was it the end of season 2 where it was just you were hating life for a while. So.
It was just like, no, and it's like, no, there's never such a thing as a revenge pick, or I'm gonna make you watch this.
Well, sometimes it feels that way. But...
I have to watch it too. We only have so many episodes. I'm always trying to bring something that I like on some level. Now, sometimes I know you might not like it, but I roll the dice and see maybe if it sticks. So
usually, I mean, other than stuff like Zorro the Gay Blade, a lot of the stuff I've been handing
Zorro's another one that's got that in it too.
Blind picks. No, Zorro Gay Blade's definitely. But mainly it's been blind picks that I've been handing you that we've just been like, well, it was a blind pick. I couldn't tell you.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
But anyways, what do you got for me next week?
Next week is
we're meeting.
We have our guest next week, yeah. So that'll be good. The week after,
stay tuned. That's a good episode, folks.
Yeah. So for the week after that, 1 week before spooky season at that point. So the movie that has been put off a long, long time, and it was a viewer request, and I meant to get to it months ago. And of course, it's Gene Mott.
A viewer requested this movie.
Of course, it's Gene Mott requesting the movie, but
what's up,
that's
Gene?
Fine. We watched Predestination, and that one still sticks with me, and that was a viewer request. And we've actually mentioned this episode, movie in passing on past episodes. And it's time to go back to, if I remember correctly, another Jackie Earle Haley classic, Losing It.
Oh, shit. Really?
Losing It from the early 80s, right? With Tom Cruise and Shelley Long and something about...
It's a classic, all right.
Car seats filled with poop or something. I tune in,
Well, they go to Tijuana for a tuck and roll, right? Let's see here. Losing It. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Losing It is. I've got something a little bit different. I'm going to give you the movie Sneakers.
Oh, as long as it's not the movie Sleepers. I don't know if I can handle that right now.
No,
now, is Sneakers the Give Me the Box, Marty movie?
Give me the box, Marty.
Oh, like once, like 30 years ago? Okay. So
it's got River Phoenix in it. It's got a great cast. Sidney Poitier, Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd. It's got a great cast. So let's give it a watch.
Dan Aykroyd enters the chat. Okay.
Dan Aykroyd enters the chat.
And Losing It is about the obsession of losing it in the 80s that we've talked about as well.
Because in the 80s, we were constantly obsessed with losing our virginity and having sex.
Why
it was the most important thing in the world. For some reason, if you didn't do it, you were, I don't know, a weirdo.
Tom Cruise with his original teeth in 2 weeks.
Hey, Tom Cruise with his original teeth. That'll be great. All right.
The Sneakers have Kevin Spacey in it?
No.
Okay, we're free. We're safe. We've been marked safe from Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, all right. Let's get out of here. Surrender, Dorothy.
Oh, I don't have one. I spaced it.
Later.
Lates.
Don't miss an episode. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, like us on YouTube, or give us a 5-star rating on the podcast app of your choice.